Bridges and tunnels. Do we have any public speakers? Murray Bowden, you're on.
Okay. You found out at the Roaring Brook crossing how your various staffs are giving you wrong information. That red box is illegal. They never went for the request to experiment, but they did go to request for experiment on the audio. So we know they know how to do it correctly. There were two things there. One, the audio, and the second, the red box. They didn't go to the red box simply because they wouldn't get it. They didn't ask, they thought they would slip it by. They did slip it by until you looked at it, and Neil gave me the information that you're a credible observer. Thank you, Neil. He's embarrassed. Come on, Neil. We're not playing fair here. We're playing with people's lives. I know, don't comment. Same thing's happening at the Whitestone Bridge. They've told you information that's absolutely wrong, and nobody's challenged it until now. That line is yellow. There is no question about it. And you've believed them and their consultants and everybody else who has effectively lied to you. How do you go forward? I'm out of here. I've made you aware of what they're doing illegally. The implementation is your job, not mine. My job is to inform you where your staff is lying to you. From here on in, if you don't take care of it, I've done my job. I'm retiring. I accomplished what I wanted to do. I made it known where the law is being broken. This went out to 50 people directly, the information that you did. All I got back was from people in the industry, traffic engineers. Murray, keep going. Murray, congratulations. I remember the day I met you 20 years ago and you gave me some little thing. Got that this morning.
Mr. Right. Bowden, please wrap up your comment.
Be glad to. Oh, good morning. I'm sorry. It's been a pleasure to be here. I've done my job. I can go home.
Second on the motion to approve the minutes. All in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Done. Work plan, any changes?
No changes.
President's report.
Thank you, Chairman Mordler, and good afternoon, Commissioners. So our goal today is to talk you through this document in a high-level manner, point you to some key performance indicators that align with some priorities that I made when I first came on board, specifically customer service, safety, and revenue protection. We'll also talk to you a little bit about what we have upcoming for the capital program in 2018. We'll go through procurement, and then finally we'll talk about diversity this month. Now, as it relates to revenue protection and safety, I'd like to take a moment to commend one of Bridge and Tunnels officers for some excellent law enforcement work at the QMT. Officer Reginald Leday recently made 2 arrests of no less than a week apart. On January 26, 2018, Officer Leday stopped the vehicle for no front license plate. The motorist could not produce identification but presented a New Mexico police shield and said that he had a loaded firearm in the vehicle. Upon investigation, the subject's driver's license was found to be suspended in New York, and he was further charged with criminal possession of a firearm and impersonation of a police officer. On February 1st, 2018, Officer Leday again stopped the vehicle for no front license plate. The vehicle fled into the tunnel, striking Officer Leday on the elbow with the vehicle's mirror. He wasn't seriously injured, but he and another officer, Sergeant Burgos, followed the vehicle along with a New York State trooper, Simon. They radioed officers at the exit of the tunnel to prevent the vehicle from escaping into Manhattan and arrested the driver for multiple charges, including assault of a peace officer and criminal possession of controlled substances, alleged marijuana, and crack cocaine. Further investigation determined he was driving with a suspended license and had an outstanding patrol warrant. I commend Officer Leday and all of the officers involved in these incidents. The 2 arrests demonstrate B&T's commitment to public safety. Our enforcement activities are focused on roadway safety, security, and tolls violations, and what we found is that these actions can result in bringing potentially dangerous criminals to justice. So at this point, I'd now like to ask Chief Dan DiCrescenzo to present the report on operations.
Thank you, President Fulton. Again, excellent work by Officer Leday and all involved in those two arrests. Thank you. The report on operations begins on page 20. Bridges and Tunnels set a record in 2017 for its highest ever traffic volume with 310 million vehicles. The following is a summary of December 2017 traffic changes compared to December of 2016. Total paid traffic increased by 1.8%. Easy Pass transactions increased by 10.5%. Non-Easy Pass transactions decreased by 52.5%. Passenger car traffic increased by 1.8%. And other traffic increased by 2.2%. Preliminary monthly traffic figures for January 2018 are 1.2% higher than in the same period in 2017. Through December, our officers have issued a total of 53.4% more summonses than last year at this time, with the largest increase in the following categories: unsafe lane change, disobeyed traffic control device, and cell phone violations. This information is found on page 38 of your B&T committee report. As mentioned at last committee meeting, Bridges and Tunnels is seeing its largest reductions of collisions in the old toll plaza areas. Through December, collisions in these areas have been reduced by 77%. Our aggressive mitigation efforts, coupled with this increase of enforcement and cashless tolling improvements, have helped safety performance at all Bridge and Tunnel facilities. In December, the overall Bridge and Tunnel collision rate decreased to 6.16 per million vehicles versus 7.03 for the same month last year. This ends the report on operations.
Any questions? Next.
Bochco.
Thank you, President Fulton. Good afternoon, Commissioners. The report presents 12-month rolling averages that compare year-over-year performances for our key safety indicators. For December and closing 2017, we can say that customer safety indicators showed improvement. Contractor safety indicators stayed about the same, and employee safety performance took a slight step back after 5 months of continued improvements. Bridges and Tunnels has improved its total collision performance in each of the last 3 months, compared to the same period in the previous year. The total collision rate in 2017 was 8 collisions per million vehicles. While this is higher than the 2016 rate of 7.49, the recent positive performance has reduced the differences between these rates significantly. For 2017, the December safety report shows that there were 0.51 collisions per million vehicles than for the same period in 2016. This is almost 1 collision per million vehicles better than the performance through September of 2017, when there were 1.49 more collisions than in the previous 12 months. Preliminary collision rates for January 2018 are also better than in the prior year, and B&T customer service safety performances are trending towards year-end improvements, year-over-year improvements. Our employee lost time injury rate increased in December, ending a 5-month trend of a better employee safety performances. The 12-month average employee lost time injury rate increased from 6.6 injuries per 200,000 work hours, lost time injuries, to 7.2 in December 2017, and it's higher than the rate of 6.7 for the same period ending 2016. Even with these increases in December, we have experienced a 35% reduction in total lost injuries in the last 6 months compared to the same period in 2016. And improved preliminary performances in January is a good sign that December did not start a negative trend. Lastly, the contractor lost time injury rate is of 1.49 injuries per 200,000 work hours for the 12-month ending December 2017 is lower than the rate of 1.91 for the same period ending December 2016, and is slightly higher than the 1.48 rate reported last month for the same period in November 2017. Unless there are any questions or comments, that concludes our safety report.
Any questions? Next.
Okay, we'll ask Pat Parisi to talk us through customer environmental survey.
The customer environment survey begins on page 39, and some highlights for the fourth quarter and year-end are: B&T striped a record 617,000 linear feet in 2017, with 184,000 linear feet in the fourth quarter alone. This effort was designed to help our customers safely navigate our cashless tolling and capital construction areas, and additional pavement markings were a contributing factor to the improved customer safety performance in the fourth quarter, notably in reducing sideswipe collisions. There was a reduced need for pothole repairs in 2017. Toll plaza repaving from cashless tolling implementation and concurrent capital roadway construction contributed to an overall 30% reduction in pothole repairs in 2017. The percentage of roadway lighting in service improved in 2017, and the improvement is expected to continue as major capital construction projects are completed and reliability improves with more LED lighting. 64% of B&T's lighting is now LED, up from 29% at the beginning of the year. Post-cashless tolling peak period travel time improved as much as 32% at the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, with improvements across all facilities averaging 15.5% at year-end. While the U-Carry Tunnel experienced a slight uptick in the fourth quarter, it had an 8.3% improvement in travel time for the entire year. Storm drain cleaning is an important way to improve customer safety and preserve bridge structures by reducing flooded roadways and in standing water. B&T increased the number of storm drains cleaned in 2017 by 56%. Unless there are any questions, this ends the customer environment report.
Questions? Next.
Mildred?
Thank you, President Fulton. The December 2017 report on cashless tolling begins on page 51. At last month's committee report, we transitioned the former report on EasyPass performance to focus more on open road tolling performance. The report provides monthly data on traffic and revenue performance at our facilities. It also expands the former report to comprehensively include data from both the EasyPass and Tolls by Mail programs. The report includes tables addressing performance on traffic, revenue, and EasyPass Customer Service Center. Please refer to pages 51 to 57 for the following December highlights. Overall, EasyPass market share continues to remain high at 93.6% for the month of December, which is 7.3% higher than the year before. The remaining 6.4% are tolls by mail transactions. ORT has continuously been a driving force behind the increased market shares in 2017, which is evident in the December average weekday shares at all facilities, which is at 94.3% overall, with every facility over 90% and 5 out of 9 facilities over 95%. The specific facility, peak period, and weekend statistics are presented in tables 3 and 4 in the book on page 54. Our revenue collection rates by facility through December 2017 are shown on Table 6, page 55. Last month, I explained the rationale for reporting our revenue collection rates, which is based on observed patterns of billing and payment cycles associated with the Tolls by Mail program. We are reporting on transactions that have matured for at least 6 months prior to the current reporting month, in this case it's December 2017, to allow for an adequate Tolls by Mail billing and collection period. Moving forward, our monthly reports will maintain a rolling 6-month transaction period to allow for the longer tolls by mail collection cycles to mature and achieve desired collection rates of at least 100%. As of December, all the facilities that went live with ORT through June 2017 are showing collection rates above 100%. That is when tolls and fees are considered. These are the Henry Hudson, the 2 tunnels, the Rockaway crossings, and the RFK Bridge. The remaining facilities went live with ORT after June 2017, and we will be reporting on these facilities as we go forward each month. But right now, we are seeing collections coming in similarly as the more mature ORT facilities, with the first month of tolls transacted showing a higher collection rate status than subsequent months, which again is consistent with overall collection trends for the program. It is a good indicator that we're on target to achieving our revenue collection goals at this time. This concludes our report on cashless tolling. If there are any no questions, I'll move on. Okay.
Come in.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Cedric, this is more for you than it is on the data. There has been a series of disturbing articles in the Journal News/Low HUD, which for whatever reason Gannett has 2 different names of its paper that covers Rockland, Putnam, Westchester. They refer at length to Conduent and Transworld Systems as the 2 providers of both the payment mechanism as well as the collection agency. to get ahead of what could be, and as I read the article, I had waves of anxiety related to our Access-a-Ride program. To get ahead of the program and to avoid the kind of damning behavior that it seems like these vendors have been doing to our sister agency up at the Tappan Zee or the Mario Cuomo Bridge, I would very much like you to be prophylactic in your approach to thinking about how they are treating our customers. I appreciate some of the things I've been reading about an amnesty program, et cetera, that may help consumers learn about this ahead of time, particularly those consumers that, A, don't have Easy Pass or the comfort of getting Easy Pass, nor may be as attentive to their mail as they should be. But the treatment that I've been reading about, I don't know, my fellow board members, is uncomfortable, to say the least. And so I do not want us to be in a position where we're treating our customers through the exact same vendors as has been treated by the rest of New York State, or at least by the Thruway Authority. So let's please, if you wouldn't mind, if you have any thoughts about that, I'd love to hear some, but please, if not, I'd love us to be attentive to that ahead of time.
I share the same anxiety that you share, for sure, and have known the conduit entity going way back to when they were under various different names for many years. To the point where I have a meeting scheduled next week with their top executive to come in. I'll be joined by General Counsel as well, and we're going to ensure that they're doing all the things that they should do to make sure that our customers are given fair treatment. I mean, the good news for us is we have such a high Easy Pass market share, but the truth of the matter is that there are two types of customers now with two types of complaints. There's the toll by mail customer, and then there's the Easy Pass customer, and they have unique issues with regard to how they understand invoices that they receive. So one, a conduit needs to make sure they have enough folks on the phone to be able to answer the question. Two, they need to make sure they get their mail out on a timely basis and can assure us that they're doing the same. Three, they need to make sure that they are engaging in using scripts that are customer friendly, customer focused. Similarly, on my side, my staff and I are talking about this ad nauseum. The reality is that all of the New York agencies use the same customer service center. One of the big challenges is when you go negative at one, you're negative everywhere, and it begins to cascade upon you very quickly. It doesn't take a long time for an individual to end up with a problem, and they may be negative at the tap or at the Bayonne, and end up being a violator at our facility as well. And then they're in that enviable position of trying to figure out where are my transactions at for which I owe tolls, and it could in fact be three agencies at the same time. Although all the information is on one bill, but it's quite a bit to figure out. So I'm a big proponent for making sure that we give our customers as much information as possible so they can navigate through what could be pretty complicated.
Next.
The financial report for December begins on page 59 and includes preliminary end-of-year information. Toll revenue for 2017 was nearly $1.912 billion, which is $5.5 million, or 0.3% higher than our final estimate. As Danny reported, total traffic in 2017 was a record 310 million crossings, which translates to 1.1% above our final estimate, and it is 0.9% higher than 2016 levels. Preliminary toll revenue for January was $146.2 million, which is $3.1 million or 2.1% greater than budget. Traffic was 23.7 million crossings in January, which was 0.5 million or 2.2% above budget. Report on expenses. Total expenses were $511.5 million, which is about $58 million or 10.2% lower than our final estimate. Our non-labor costs were $241.8 million, which is $48.6 million less than plan, or 16.7%, due primarily to the timing of expenses in various categories, as well as lower than anticipated ORT costs for the back office. Labor costs were $269.7 million, which are also lower than planned by about $9.4 million, or 3.4%, primarily due to payroll vacancies. Our overtime is down 3.3% against plan, which is about $1 million. Our support to mass transit in 2017 was $1.122 billion, which is $88.6 million, or 8.6% better than plan. If there are no questions, I will move on. Any questions?
Next.
If there are no questions, I will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is an action item regarding the TBTA operating surplus that I will read for the record. The staff summary begins on page 72. Included in the attachments are 8 resolutions associated with transferring the 2017 TBTA operating surplus. These actions are summarized as follows. First, resolutions to certify and transfer $740,143,952 in 2017 operating surplus to the MTA and New York City Transit pursuant to Section 1219A, 2B of the Public Authorities Law of the State of New York. Second, resolutions to transfer the 2017 investment income of $1,476,772 to the MTA pursuant to Section 569C of the Public Authorities Law of the State of New York. Third, resolutions to deduct from fiscal year 2018 operating revenues of TBTA the amount of $27,960,932 to be deposited into a necessary reconstruction reserve, which was adopted by board resolution on March 29, 1968. Money credited to the reserve will be applied to the payment of the cost and expense of current and anticipated necessary construction of TBTA facilities. Finally, resolutions pursuant to the Public Authorities Law to advance monthly the fiscal year 2018 TBTA surplus to the MTA and New York City Transit in an aggregate amount not to exceed 90% of the estimate of the sum of that month's operations, if available, with the first $1.8 million going to New York City Transit and the remaining sum split 50% to New York City Transit, less applicable bond service, and 50% to the MTA, less applicable bond service. Your approval is requested.
On pages 74 and 75, correction, pages 73 through 75 are the text of the resolutions. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion, second. Discussion. On the motion, all those in favor? Contrary-minded, abstentions, done.
Thank you. We also have an information item, the 2018 adopted budget and financial plan, starting on page 86. The plan is essentially the same as what was adopted by the board in December and includes a schedule detailing the monthly allocation of revenues and expenses for the purposes of reporting. This concludes.
Any questions? Next.
Okay, Joe Keane will now walk us through the capital plan.
The report on the capital program begins on page 105. The report provides details of our planned annual awards and completions for the year ahead. In summary, B&T plans to award 100 tasks with a cumulative value of over $800 million and to complete 31 projects with a cumulative value of $1.43 billion. This represents the highest value of project completions in B&T's history. Planned awards include 5 design-build projects and a major deck replacement at the Throgs Neck Bridge. Completion plan includes several significant completions for tunnel restoration and flood mitigation projects at the Queens Midtown and UL Carey tunnels, as well as reconstruction of the RFK Bronx Plaza structure. For the month of January, we committed 4 tasks for $3.3 million. There were no project completions planned or achieved in January. Unless there are any questions, that concludes the report.
Questions? Next.
Procurement start on page 113. There are no non-competitive procurements or ratifications. There are 4 competitive procurement actions this month in the total amount of $85.96 million. There is a competitively solicited personal services procurement for biennial bridge inspections to keep our assets in a state of good repair, covering contracts awarded to 4 separate engineering firms. These contracts total $10.28 million. There are 3 personal service contract modifications. The first one adds funding for TransCore for the maintenance of cashless tolling for a period of 6 years at all facilities in the amount of $73.01 million. The second one adds funding for JHK Engineering and HDR to provide intelligent transportation system designs in the maximum amount of $1.7 million. This increase will be assigned by work orders. The third adds funding for Enviromed for independent site safety monitoring of ongoing construction projects in the amount of $971,000. The total amount committed for these modifications is $75.68 million. Unless there are any questions, these procurements are described in detail in the enclosed staff summaries.
Let me make a point, if I may. It is my understanding that on the 6-year TransCore contract, there is a provision in there that it can be terminated earlier for convenience. Is that correct, Counsel?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay. Questions?
Why do we need 4 firms to do bridge inspections?
The bridge inspection program is, we have a rotation of consulting firms so that the same consulting firm does not inspect the same structure on consecutive inspections, and that's sort of a quality control check on the integrity of the inspection process. So that plus the fact that our structures are very large and complex and the deadlines to submit the reports are very stringent. So in order to meet all of those program requirements and to ensure quality integrity of the inspection process, we find it generally it works better when we break the inspection into 4 distinct groups, which over the years that seems to have worked pretty well in terms of meeting all of those requirements.
Are these the same, or are some of these firms the same firms that have done bridge inspections before? And I ask because I know a similar procurement has come before this committee maybe within the year. Is it the same firms?
Actually, we're pretty happy to, there's 2 new firms this year. So we have some new firms in the mix, which we're kind of happy about.
And I've asked this question in relation to this discussion before, which is, will we get to a point as an agency where, and is it legally permissible, actually, according to mandates, where we can train our own personnel to do these inspections instead of seeking a third party to do so?
Right. In fact, I think you asked the question last year, and so we are doing some in-house biennial inspections. We have a very limited staff, so the scope of what we can do is relatively modest. But we have this season we have inspected some pedestrian overpasses and other structures, and going forward, depending on staff availability and other factors, we're looking to see if we can increase that. But I will say that for the larger bridges like the Verrazano, the RFK Bridge, you know, the magnitude of and the logistics required to undertake these inspections is beyond the capacity of in-house. But where possible, we will apply in-house resources to this.
And then with regards to the TransCore procurement, so there's a note in the summary that says it will cost the authority about $12 million annually to maintain and operate the cashless toll collection system. What was the annual fee to maintain the toll plazas?
For the TransCore contract, we had $9 million, so it's going up to $12 million. But all of this is part of when we re-estimated all the costs that we had in November of 2016. We did an estimate initially based on the Henry Hudson experience, and we programmed in those costs. So this is included. So there is an increase from $9 million to $12 million per year.
Do you anticipate that $12 million growing each subsequent year?
For now, I think we're just keeping it steady at that level. Obviously, every year as we realize the actuals coming in, we're able to realize efficiencies, and we're able then to reduce at that point at the next plan.
Done? Okay. The EEO report is...
Did you vote on these?
Oh, yeah. We need a vote on these, right? On the motion to approve, do I have a motion? Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Abstentions? Done.
Sean Moore will now go through the B&T diversity report.
It is in the book with terms of detail. Is there anybody who has any question or any desire for further exposition? On the motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Done.